people who believe fervently in the war effort, people who oppose it, people who have mixed feelings about it, should not look to this indictment for any resolution of how they feel.
Welcome back to this special edition of Hardball. We're back with our panel right now. Let me go right back to where we were picking up here. You had a thought.
Well, the war between the CIA and the Vice President's office was right at a fever pitch when all this started. So Joe Wilson was someone that they did want to discredit because they thought he was, as John Dickerson said, an example of the CIA screwing them. That was basically their view.
What was the fight between the Vice President's office and the CIA, which is the backdrop for so much? Was it about the war in Iraq and the CIA didn't believe in the war and the Vice President's office did?
And it was about Ahmed Chalabi, who was the Vice President's guy, and the CIA.
The story being that the only guy in history to get his country back from the Vice President's office was Ahmed Chalabi.
And, you know, the CIA had discredited him and believed that he was not an honest broker. I mean, they were absolutely on opposite sides of this whole Iraq issue. And that is what was coming to a head over who was responsible for getting those 16 words in the State of the Union speech. Right. And that brings you directly to Joe Wilson.
Kate?
Right.
Take time. You're very frustrated here. I want to give you full time here.
Well, it just seems to me, those of us who are, many of us, of course, already think Scooter Libby has a major problem based on what might be a faulty memory. And we think, how's that possible that you could have a faulty memory about such a thing? And yet, I'm seeing an awful lot of faulty memories on display. Have people forgotten that the 16 words in the State of the Union were attributable to the British government? The British government has learned that there was an attempt to buy uranium in Africa.
But that was so they could cover for their source,
the
right?
The British government...
That's why they kept saying the British government because they had a source for this of our own intelligence.
CIA
but they didn't.
And the British government was also a source, and the British government post-war had their own investigation of pre-war intelligence because it was as controversial in Britain as it was here.
And still said it was
And they still say it is true. Now, Joe Wilson comes back from this trip, and he starts lying about what he learned. He says the attempt to buy uranium in Niger was a flat-out lie. That was a flat-out lie. So how are they supposed to counter it?
Okay, we're out of time. You know, by the way, when we all come back and want somebody to register a verdict on whether there ever was an attempt by Saddam Hussein to buy nuclear materials in Africa, factually. Up next, will President Bush admit mistakes were made here? And how damaged is his relationship with Karl Rove? I'm not sure that's the biggest story here. This is Hardball, special report only on MSNBC.